werewolf on the moon.
I remember this.
Would he die? And would he constantly be a werewolf?
He will die.
I still say yes. He would die.
Yeah, because there's no oxygen.
Because his argument
But there's no
was
silver.
the only thing can kill a werewolf is silver.
Werewolf still has to breathe.
Because I've seen
That's what I was
movies
thinking,
where
it's
people
like-
have strapped dynamite to werewolves and blown them up, and the pieces reconfigure, for
Still.
God's sakes.
They still need to breathe.
In that aspect, though, if you think of that, then
Because
they
that's how
would just be floating through space.
That's how the
At-
werewolf
at
got
any
back together.
time.
Well,
Okay.
his lungs would just be consistently bursting and regenerating.
Yeah.
Can't breathe.
So he'd
But
be.
since he can't breathe in space, if he comes back to Earth,
So
He would
will he-
reassemble, and he would be a
he
werewolf.
would be.
who was that
alive
Greek?
again.
Who was the Greek figure that stole? Was it
Well,
Prometheus
no,
that
it
stole the
depends.
fire?
If he
Yeah.
fell, are you
Yeah.
saying like if he fell back to Earth?
Mhm.
It would depend on if he landed
In one spot.
in one spot. Because if can a werewolf die
Yeah,
if he is killed in his human form?
See, and that's bringing up the whole, like, werewolves can die by removing the brain from the body. Like, you shoot them in the head, it's kind of like that zombie kind of thing, where it's, you just remove their brain, they will die.
Yeah, I never heard that.
Doesn't have to be the whole brain though.
I would imagine.
Well, then bullet wouldn't
Well,
take
it's
the
like
whole
their
brain.
head would...
I mean, if you cut off the head, yeah.
But
Damn it.
all the same, can like say you were a werewolf
It's like the.
and you were human in daylight and I stabbed you. You know, would you die?
Yeah.
So you are vulnerable when in your human form. Okay. So yeah, if the guy was plummeting back to Earth, unless he landed in moonlight, and was in the moonlight the whole way, and that also raises the question of if he's on the moon, would he constantly be a werewolf?
Yeah, because really he's still in the moonlight.
Well, yeah, because if you want to look at, if you
What
want to get
about if he
scientific
goes into
about
the
it,
dark-
well, hang on.
the
What
dark
about
side
the
of the
moon
moon?
makes him a werewolf? Is it
I always thought it was
lunar
like some
radiation?
Sort of, the lunar radiation was what triggers it. So yeah, and that if you're going by that, then yes.
What about? I thought it was always the light.
He would.
Yeah, and that's why I'd say it's like it depends on if you're going off of the light or you know, if a werewolf is on the dark side of the moon.
Exactly. What happens?
He's like half werewolf, half man.
He's just a frozen werewolf.
It's only
That also sucks. You're alive. Blows.
it's only a full moon though, right?
Wouldn't it constantly?
So he would have to, for him to survive falling back to Earth, it would have to be a full moon.
Yeah. He'd have to plan that shit out.
Okay,
Which might be difficult in his werewolf state.
it's a full moon tonight.
And even then, he would have to get from the moon, float from the moon to Earth's surface.
Not necessarily.
in
He
one
can
night.
still be floating in space. He can be really close to Earth still. If the moon is still hitting him, he's still a werewolf.
But he's still... I'm talking about he has to hit Earth to reassemble and be alive at the same time. Because if he was in space and he reassembled himself, he would
he's gotta
just
swim really
explode
fucking
again.
fast.
He lands halfway in the moonlight. Fuck my waist.
He lands on the international date line. What do I do?
Is it only midnight that they could turn? It's just, oh, okay.
Yeah, I never heard that. It's just in the light of the full moon.
It's like at a certain part after sundown, then they turn.
So, wait, quick question: if you had, because we have lamps that, solar lamps. What if you had a lunar lamp? Would that?
Like, what do you mean by a lunar lamp?
Well, I mean, we have. I was attractive. So we have lamps that.
Sun lamps, basically.
Yeah, sun lamps.
Replicate sunlight.
Yeah, replicate
What
sunlight.
If you had one that replicates moon.
Exactly.
I would think that there is obviously a sense of the supernatural behind
Of course.
the lunar radiation. So I would imagine it would have to be the genuine emissions
With that, then,
of the moon.
I feel like with sun lamps and stuff, that wouldn't affect Superman either, since it's the sun's light.
This is true.
Since it's artificial, it should
But he's
work.
also alien, not supernatural.
Well, Superman works
Still.
primarily
Works on
on...
more of a scientific basis.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Superman
it
works...
is the sun's radiation.
It's the sun's
that
radiation,
powers him.
and
Yeah, that's-
lights
don't
don't
have
have
that.
That's the point I was going to make. He's a radiation battery.
The hell?
You broke it.
It doesn't look broken at all, though.
But you broke it.
What's been able to happen? That's awesome.
What is it though?
This part is supposed to be here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Interesting.
But
I'll put my mouth on that thing, that's for sure.
Alright, so, vampires. Do crosses really work?
No.
Okay, one thing
Yes.
that I want to go back to the werewolf thing. Van
What do you
Helsing.
mean, yes?
I say yeah, because vampires. It's hard to decipher vampires because there has never been a supernatural creature that has had more variations than the vampire does, depending on author to author. But I like to believe that vampires are, in essence, a demonic force, and thus
see,
the
with
cross can work. But I also believe it is only dependent on the faith of the person who is wielding the cross.
So the cross turns into a Green Lantern ring, essentially?
Essentially, it's the person channeling
Right.
God
Yeah.
through the cross.
Okay.
Like with Stoker's Dracula, the cross really never worked. I mean, it helped with holding it back, holding Mina back from becoming a vampire.
But you could also use the argument it depends on the faith of the person. Because I wouldn't really consider Van Helsing a religious person. He's more of a scientist. He's using that because it's in a book. And so its power is greatly limited by that.
I'm just going to say, like, looking through this little LCD screen at this conversation of what I'm filming, this looks like footage that's going to be on some, like, documentary in the future when vampires and werewolves have taken over, and then archaeologists or whoever find this film, and they're like, these people had it right all along.
Crosses. Okay, everybody, believe in God now. And get some crosses.
These four people are responsible for the human uprising against our vampire werewolf overlords. This is the only
My favorite
footage.
depiction of vampires comes
I'm
from
pretty sure
Stephen
it was
King.
like that the whole time.
Because he wrote
'cause it went down.
Stephen King wrote the faith of the cross. Really, he wrote, though he wasn't the first. He believes in the permission to enter houses and whatnot, which I've always really liked.
That was
Yeah.
Stoker, who had that. Same with water. That you gotta.
Yeah, can't cross over bodies of water.
Really, they can't?
No, you
Nope.
gotta.
Yeah,
the
they
only way to
can't.
get over the water is they have to have their earth, their
Yeah.
homeland's ground to, they have to
Like
be
in a
their
jar
coffin.
with them?
And
No,
of
they
course,
have to
that's
be
the
in
whole
the
purpose of the coffin. They don't just need to go to sleep in a coffin. Dracula's coffin was filled with the soil of his native land because a vampire has to return to where he was buried every night. So Dracula just takes the land, the soil from his homeland, and fills it in those boxes, and that's what
That
he
way he
sleeps
can
in.
travel.
That's cool.
So he brings a portable grave.
Awesome. Okay, so vampires, we can all
Yeah,
agree, though, that garlic is nonsense.
Yeah, I
Agree
don't
or
understand
disagree
the
with
thing
that? All
with
agree.
I've never really thought about garlic, honestly, because I know, like, in Dracula, garlic was
With the garlic thing, it's because back in the day when Bram Stoker wrote his Dracula book, a lot of the people thought that too much garlic will kill you. They thought it was like a poison. So he took that and wrote it into the whole vampire situation.
Well, see,
I kind of
it
assumed it was like a wolfsbane sort of thing.
It always makes me think of that one line in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter where Abe is talking to
not coming out.
shit.
It's not coming out, dude.
What's that guy's name? The vampire that teaches him everything about vampires.
I can't remember. It's
Well, that guy, Tom.
Tom something.
Yeah, let's just say it's Tom. Abe is talking to Tom, and he asks, the thing about garlic, and Tom just says, "Makes it more noticeable from a mile away."
Yeah, I mean, that's been the big thing, like, with vampires in the past couple of decades, is every time a new vampire movie comes out, they continue to say, oh, well, that's just an urban myth, or whatnot. These more modernized vampires with less and less weaknesses. But I like the old school ones.
Sparkly skin.
I like old school and the strain.
You have any pipe
I like the whole.
The strain
Nothing
isn't
at
really vampires. That's, again, another more
You have
modern
pipe cleaners?
Hmm?
You have any pipe cleaners?
Yes, I do. Check the pipe chest. Yeah, I prefer the
No,
old
move.
school versions.
Sit back.
Oh, fuck you. You can sit on my lap. You can sit on my lap. My knee is hurting. Fuck you.
Get up. I called it before you sat down. Get up. No.
So
Absolutely not.
My knee
that's
is
my
killing me,
opinion on the crosses.
Sit down on the stairs like I always do.
Okay.
Get up.
What do you guys think of the crosses?
Come on.
Like, what do you think of
I don't like it.
on vampires?
The what?
Crosses on
You.
vampires.
Well, then I get to count.
Crucifix.
No, you can't call them both.
How many times?
You can't call the
You
temporary
always
chair
have.
over the couch.
It's because you had the room. You had the room, I had the couch.
When the fuck did you get the room? I sleep there.
When
He
you
used
didn't
to
live
always-
here.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
That's because you always called the couch.
By the way, dibs on the room.
Dibs on my bed.
Fuck.
Dibs on
I was
that.
gonna take that one too.
Yeah, I don't believe in the whole cross thing. I mean, I'm also with the whole, I don't really think they're demonic type things. I think
Well,
they're
that just
their own
depends on
entity.
which vampire story you're talking about.
Because, I mean, Dracula became a vampire when he renounced God and openly accepted the way of the devil. That makes vampires, in essence, a demonic force. So, you know, the cross, the power of God, would be the greatest weapon.
like the whole-
Well, wait, hang on. So, Dracula being the original vampire, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Dracula renounced God, accepted Satan, and became a vampire.
Technically, Vlad the Impaler.
Yes.
Sure, yeah. So, that means that whenever he turns someone into a or someone else into a vampire, he is literally raping the soul out of them.
Basically. Yeah.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yes, it is. Vampires are not nearly as... You know, I got so disgusted the other day when I went to Barnes & Noble to buy the newest Song of Ice and Fire book, and there was a whole wall that was the teen paranormal romance
Yeah, I've
section.
seen that section.
Are you kidding?
A whole fucking wall with signs that said teen paranormal romance.
They need to stop with the romance shit.
I mean, you know, Twilight is one thing. It's just kind of like, okay.
But Twilight set off on this whole...
Yeah.
They started
Fuck
this
Twilight.
whole phenomenon.
I mean, look at Beastly, though.
You
I mean, that's just embarrassing.
You can't make vampires lovers. You can't make them romantic. You can't. They're monsters. They're
Well,
no-
vicious creatures.
Well, what about that whole romantic
That's why I
aspect?
liked 30 Days of Night so much. Was
Well-
it brought back this.
Well, what about that whole romantic aspect of vampires that
Yeah,
became
just-
popular for
See,
so long?
vampires are supposed to be a romantic aspect in terms of, like, the forbidden fruit. The,
Yeah, but
you know, the
'Cause
eternal...
That's
they're,
Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah, they're
They have
creatures
a very
of-
romantic side. They lure people in, which is really where it comes with
I
the
don't
romance.
feel like
kind of
they
thing.
should-
It's lust, not
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, exactly.
I feel like it
Bring
shouldn't
people in. And
be
in
romantic.
Twilight
They
and
shouldn't
whatnot,
be
they
romantic.
actually are romantic and
Yeah,
kindly
they're-
creatures
who are just
But
misunderstood.
I think they're romantic in the
vegetarians.
sense. Well, I think they're
Vegetarian
romantic.
vampire.
That's
Bullshit.
bullshit.
It's like the tomato vampires.
Exactly.
Remember that?
Well, I think they're romantic in the sense where it's just like, hey, I'm going to woo you and buy you a fancy dinner, lie about my occupation, and then take you home and rape you. Just like my first date. I mean,
I feel like they shouldn't be romantic though. They're creatures. They're monsters of the night. They should be monsters, not lovers.
well,
I mean, no, I'm not against like the idea of them being lovers and whatnot because yeah, it's a tactic to get their food. What I'm against
That's what
is the actual like kind-hearted I can fall in love.
well, that's my train of thought.
They don't really need it to get their food. They can just go out and see someone and be like, oh, food, yay.
Well, you know, it's all about, you know, vampires don't want
Sophistication.
to be discovered.
Well, granted, you have to think about the psychology of a vampire. Once again, referencing Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter. You know, they live like, what, forever? After the first 2,000 years, 3,000 years, you kind of start to get bored with just, there's a person, I'm going to go kill him.
Yeah, and
Eventually you're gonna play with your
They make
food.
this great point where they say it's like 75% of vampires end up committing suicide.
Yeah.
Because they just get bored. You know, they lose all purpose being around on Earth for that long.
Except for Tom.
I don't know. If I were a vampire, I think maybe not immediately, but eventually, definitely, I would be like Mr. Suave and lead them back to my place, and then turn 30 Days of Night on their ass while I turn out the lights.
Did y'all ever see, what was that movie? I just watched it the other night. I posted a thing on Facebook about it.
This video is running 21 minutes.
Who's in it? Oh, what's it?
I have no idea who's in
We should
it.
move this one.
Why?
Oh, it's down.
What's the name of the movie that I watched? I watched it on Netflix.
This is turning into the Blair Witch Project.
You need to tell me what it's about here.
Watch it on Netflix?
It's on his Netflix, so it would show up on his thing.
You can't remember a plot synopsis.
It's the vampires run out of blood. Like, they run out of humans. And they run out.
Yeah,
And so
William Dafoe and let's see, it was Daybreakers.
Daybreakers, yes.
Willem Dafoe
Great
was in
vampire
another
movie.
vampire movie?
So that's something that I was thinking about. Like, what happens? Like, they
Yeah,
run out of humans.
Almost
like, they're harvesting
a
humans at that
staple
point.
of the entire vampire mythos is their desire and need to remain hidden, to remain the few, to just survive, in their own way. They don't want to run rampant and create chaos and let everybody know about them because, sure, they're vampires, but they can still be killed. So they play it smart, and that's why the romancing aspect is a really good tactic.
Then you got True Blood.
Plus, just from a storytelling perspective, the whole
Well, True Blood is...
dangerous stranger thing is really quite terrifying because it's like that guy that might be buying a drink for you at the bar.
Could be a
Ladies,
vampire.
you never know.
Well, True Blood specifically runs on that aspect of vampires want to integrate with society.
Well, yeah. But, in that one, they're like, they have that romantic, some of them have that romantic
And
side,
they
but
also, a
overall,
lot
they're
of them
still
have
monsters.
ulterior motives.
Well, exactly, yeah. I mean, they treat vampires more or less like people. Like, they have personalities in the sense that they don't all have a similar motive of lead you back to your place and rape your soul.
Okay, I have a question. Where'd the whole sunlight thing come from with vampires?
That is a good question.
Because Stoker had it to where, yes, they were weaker, but it didn't kill them.
Yeah, it left them considerably weaker. I'm not sure where the whole burnt into ashes thing came
That
from.
probably is just one of those things that developed
Just,
over
yeah,
time.
evolved
That
over
was just,
time.
Yeah, I imagine
hey,
it's
they
like
become
that.
weaker. Hey, let's just make it, they die and something.
I
So
like
they're,
that. Like,
I mean,
when you
I'm
think
sure it
about
all
their
came
origin-
down to, day is God's time, night is the devil's time.
yeah, because you associate
so-
day, like the daylight, with like a rebirth kind of thing, and then nighttime is death. And they're called creatures of the night.
Yeah.
So really, there's only
I
supposed to
don't
thrive
like
during
the whole
night.
dying in the sunlight. I don't like that. I love the whole, yes, they basically sunlight makes them human.
What was it in the Blade movie where the vampire comes out and he's got like 3 layers of sunblock on?
Yeah, I remember that.
Which also brings another question. Is it easier to kill, like, with Stoker's vampires? Is it easier to kill a vampire in the daylight?
I would certainly imagine.
Well, yeah.
Like, can it,
They're weak.
can
Because
it just use
They
anything?
specifically tried to attack a vampire in the day.
Well, because they're not,
Now-
at that point, they're not human. They're still a vampire. They're just don't really have those kind of powers.
They
I have a
don't
question.
Any powers. They're basically human. It's just,
Yeah, but they're still the undead.
yeah.
I have a question. Speaking of Blade, what type of monsters could theoretically impregnate a woman leading to some sort of half-breed like Blade?
Werewolf.
Depends. That's one of those things that's going to vary with every author.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, generally, though, there is kind of
I
a
still
strong
don't like
basis.
The idea of vampires having children or getting pregnant. I don't.
They have no blood pressure.
Exactly.
They cannot get
They don't
erections.
even have a heartbeat, so they don't have the ability to produce life.
Yeah.
They have supernatural erections, Ben.
rigor mortis.
Yeah.
Crack open a cold one.
Yeah, I could see werewolves,
Werewolves,
definitely
because
having
they're still
children.
alive.
They're
Mhm.
still alive.
Why?
Teen Wolf is the prime example.
Yeah, you need blood to get it up. But does that mean that if they feed, they can do it? Because technically,
Well,
you have the blood.
technically,
blood-
hang
you have
on.
the blood.
Gives them
There's
life.
still
in
nothing
your system though.
working.
You still have the
Hang
blood
on.
going through your
Interesting
system.
loophole. Taking the angels and demons route, artificial insemination. Just because they have no blood, does that mean that they still don't produce sperm?
The way I see it is, they're dead.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I have
So,
to agree with
bottom
Alex.
line,
You need
the
life
sperm
to
is
create
not going
life.
to be there.
Okay.
It's dead.
Um,
So, like, actually, on going back to the werewolf thing, on being human, a werewolf gets this lady pregnant.
But wait, Blade's mom was not impregnated.
Yeah, she was
by a
bitten.
zombie. She was bitten. I mean, a vampire. She was bitten by a vampire while Blade was in her stomach, while he was growing.
That is a good point.
So since she was connected to him, the virus spread through both of them. So
That would make sense. If she's already pregnant.
That's how it is in Blade.
I was thinking mainly guys at that point, because at that point,
I was thinking like the girl had
thinking,
sex with a vampire. Is what
On that note,
that's what I was saying.
On that same note, what if a pregnant woman? I think movies have gone into this a bit. What if a pregnant woman got bitten by a zombie? What would she give birth to?
I'd imagine the baby would be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The baby
Just
would
like
be a zombie.
completely dead, not necessarily
Dawn of the
zombie.
Dead.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead.
Okay.
I always think of the whole, can an infected person, not an infected zombie, infect another person?
We're all infected.
If you go that way, yes. If you go other ways, it's only blood transmitted. It's always.
Now,
yeah, like what I was saying with like the werewolf thing.
Can lycanthropy be if a man who was a werewolf had sex with a woman, would the baby be born a werewolf?
That's the thing.
They go into that in something.
On being human, every full moon, like the baby is rapidly growing. Every full moon.
Wait.
Werewolf inside of her belly.
Wait, you
on
already,
being human.
You already got there?
That's unfortunate for her.
That's in. Yeah, I'm already caught up. The new episode was Monday and I missed it.
I didn't know you caught up already. Nice. Yeah,
I
knew
caught
about
up in one day.
My mother
I
just
knew about
started
that.
watching that show. I watched the first episode and I was not impressed. I didn't really like it much.
First episode was but it gets really good.
Yeah, I like the show.
But yeah, like another thing that I like with that they kind of go in with being human, but they really do in True Blood is the difference between werewolves and vampires.
Yes.
How the vampires are this more sophisticated, not obviously not really secret, but they're in some aspect they are more secretive.
Mm-hmm.
But they're more suave, sophisticated kind of beings, and then the werewolves are just plain dogs.
Mm-hmm.
They're just
the vampires can hold press conferences,
and then the werewolves are in a bar
Bikers.
partying. They're animals. I like that.
Yeah, I always kind of like that
I like the
distinction
whole-
because vampires are all about deception and
I like the whole
playing their enemies.
being
and
human
whatnot.
thing.
Vampires or werewolves, they just tear you to pieces.
The whole being human thing is that when you're a werewolf, you're a werewolf. But when you're human, you are who you used to be. You're the same person, like everything you did when you were human before you got bit. You are that.
That is a different aspect though, because in
That's why I said being human.
in being human, there's human and then there's wolf. They're two completely different things. They don't remember. Like the wolf does not have any human memories, doesn't have any human senses or anything like that. Human has no idea what happens when they're a wolf.
That's
In True Blood, they had that same brain the entire time.
Yeah.
So they know exactly what
they're
they're
in
doing.
full control.
I also like the whole garlic thing.
Just probably a slightly more animalistic tendencies.
The
I
whole
would imagine,
garlic
in
thing
both
with-
times.
Well, yeah, but they're which is why in True Blood, they're they have their packs. They're more animalistic when they're humans because they know that they're wolves. They know they have that kind of power. They know what they're capable of.
I like the whole garlic thing
You know.
with vampires and being human. How it turns them into vampires.
Oh, so it's kind of like just
They
Lose
look
control.
human, they look natural, but when they have garlic, they can't control themselves.
Yeah, it's
they
like
have
their
their
vampire
teeth,
form is their eyes just turn completely black and they have fangs and that's it.
I always really liked
Vampire.
Supernatural's form of vampires.
I never got that far.
Yeah, I never watched Supernatural.
I watched it.
I think you would really like that show.
Yeah, you would.
It's got some
Great show. Do you have
really
it?
interesting depictions.
My brother does.
of famous Supernatural.
Oh wait, it's
Isn't
on.
it on
It's
Netflix?
on.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
on Netflix.
Catch it on there. Supernatural has a really interesting form of vampires, where it's, I don't know, they're just more of average Joes, and in the night, they like to feast, and they have nests, and yeah. Actually, that's a big staple for vampires in that show, the whole nest thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's like going back to Lost Boys.
Mhm.
They have
Yeah.
that nest,
That's what I like with
Like the packs.
the strain, because yes, Guillermo del Toro has said that yes, they are vampires.
Never saw the strain. see it. I never saw it.
It's not a movie.
Books.
Oh, it's a book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I never read it.
He talks like whenever you get turned to a vampire, the first place you're gonna go is your home. It's your nest. It's where you live. It's where you've always lived. It's where you're comfortable. So they go there first, and they attack their family first. People they know, people they love. So that's a really great take on it. Like,
Yeah, that was always really disturbing in that book.
I need to read those books.
They're fantastic.
I have.
You have them too, right, Ben?
He has one of
First
them,
one.
and then he
I'm
has
gonna borrow that from you.
my other one.
Yeah.
Quick question.
I'm gonna go ahead and take it.
We haven't really touched ghosts. What happens if a pregnant woman is possessed by a ghost? Would that affect the baby?
No.
No.
Depends
Unborn
on if
baby.
you believe even in
What-
ghosts having the
It
ability to
wouldn't,
possess.
because the ghost
I think
at that
that's-
point would only
And
possess
technically,
the
ghosts
one body at a time.
ghosts don't possess.
That's what I was saying.
Demons
yeah.
possess.
Demons possess.
Yeah, demons possess. Ghosts
And
don't
if-
possess.
Even then, a possession.
I mean, what the
place
fuck do
would only
ghosts do,
one
though?
body at a time. It wouldn't
True.
affect the baby. It might attack the baby.
But there are
The
times-
lady could attack the baby, but
There are times when a
Yeah,
person
because
is
if a demon possesses a person, other than the physical things that they do to themselves, it doesn't leave any mark.
Exactly.
Like if a demon was just to hop in a body, sit there for 5 seconds, then hop out, the body would be
Well,
exactly the
nothing
same
would
that
change.
it was.
sometimes like it depends on what you read, what you believe, because there was a time where people thought that like you'd have whenever an exorcism happened, you'd have like a little dot of blood somewhere on your body, and that was supposed to be the place where the demon left your body. So sometimes it depends on who you talk to, who.
Of course,
what you
people used to
believe.
think that diseases were caused by demons.
Yeah.
So
And you could cure
Say,
them with
like-
leeches.
I thought
Exactly.
I thought that was a pretty cool take to actually have something that showed that it was gone.
yeah.
An exit wound, basically.
Demons, there's a fun subject. Hate demons.
Once again, supernatural.
Yeah, Supernatural does a great job with demonic possession of demons and whatnot. But yeah, demons wouldn't have. I was just thinking of like, it's like what if you were possessed by a demon and that demon went and had sex with somebody? I was like, what would the baby be like? But no,
Yeah,
it would
it
still be
was-
just
yeah.
your kid.
Well, I don't know.
because it doesn't change the person physically. It's
No.
still their body.
Of
It's just not their
course.
spirit.
What about in the movies that we see where like Satan himself
Yeah.
possesses somebody to impregnate
Well,
a woman?
that's what I was about to say.
If
It
you
just
wanna
go
the Antichrist.
like that. He is
Of course,
basically
it's
the god
Satan,
of demons.
so yeah, Satan can kind
He's
of do whatever
he
the
can
fuck
do
he
yeah,
wants
he
to.
can do whatever the fuck he wants. And a
Well-
lot of those movies, he didn't possess someone. He made himself look
Yeah,
human.
he was.
Yeah, he
was
made a
there.
physical manifestation of
Of his
himself.
own,
That's
so-
true.
well, it just kind of depends on, I guess, the writer responsible. But do demons influence certain? It sounds weird. Certain bodily functions or
Yeah,
fluids?
your head spins around and you throw up peas.
Green.
I'm just saying. If
Yeah, they can physically do things
Those
to your
mashed
body.
peas.
While
Well, I'm just saying,
they
could-
are possessing
could
you.
a demon contaminate the sperm essentially, or demonic sperm more or less,
No.
Because basically they
or
take-
demonic eggs?
It's not that they're taking over the body; they're taking over your soul.
Yeah, so
Right.
They're
It's nothing
so,
physical about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Though that does raise the question of how do demons manage to do head spinning around and projectile vomiting and
Because
shit like that.
yeah, they're in your soul. They can still control your body.
What I'm saying is, how come when the demons leave, then that little girl's neck isn't in 18 pieces? You know?
Yeah, 'cause that happens in just about every possession movie. They're like contorting
Yeah,
their bodies and
crazy
flying and
contortion.
everything.
And like I've seen videos of real possessions, and whenever stuff like that happens, they actually died. So
That's 'cause
Yeah.
they're supposed to.
Yeah, this is true. Generally, that shit does.
that's
kill
mainly
them.
a movie thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Just to give it a storyline.
of course. So is this whole conversation. I hope.
Yeah.
zombie.
It is a movie thing.
Hey,
I'm pointing at the camera.
I just thought of something.
Fourth wall.
With a
Fourth
zombie
wall. Fourth wall.
apocalypse, it would have to happen on a certain day, a certain period, because with zombies, if it happens in winter, they're fucked. We won.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because the zombie, no pumping blood. they freeze. Like, instantly freeze.
Yeah, all that blood
So-
pooling up in their legs, just icicles.
Yeah, the Goon had a great joke about that, where it's the Goon and Frankie driving around at Christmas time, and Goon saying, I love the holiday season. Why is that? Is it the free presents, the copious amounts of liquor, and all the decorations? No, icicles. And he just fucking bowling pins like 3 frozen zombies in the street.
But yeah, so a lot of people are saying that the whole 2012 December thing is going to be the zombie apocalypse, and if it is,
We win.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
It's Christmas.
It's not really
It's
the
coldest.
zombie apocalypse. It's the apocalypse.
Well, hang on.
A lot of
Going
people are
through
saying
it.
that it's going to be the zombie apocalypse. Zombie apocalypse.
Okay, well, think about it. The Mayans didn't know about zombies.
Exactly.
to be fair, you have to ask.
But where are the Mayans?
Dun
The
dun
Spaniards
dun.
killed
To be fair, you have to ask: is this December going to
Zombie Spaniards!
be? Is this December going to be as warm as it was last December,
It was still
or warmer?
Yeah, really.
It was pretty cold,
Listen,
but it
all
was
I
no
know
winter.
is no man shall know the time or the place.
Yeah.
You know, and I do believe in that. You know,
the whole
so-
apocalypse thing is there's no apocalypse. The whole
So
ending
wait.
of the Mayan
Technically,
calendar.
if we just keep proclaiming that tomorrow is going to be the apocalypse,
I thought of that.
it
Somebody's
never
gonna be right.
comes.
No, it'll never come if we keep saying.
True.
Just every day you gotta wake up and say, the
Oh,
world's gonna blow up
loopholes.
today. And it won't.
But the whole Mayan thing is
Loophole,
part of
God,
it-
loophole.
Shut up. It was part of their calendar, and their
Of course,
calendar.
it says no,
I
not
will-
guess. Sorry.
The calendar ended because they got taken over. They all
Oh, yeah.
died.
Or they ran out
You
of.
can't finish a calendar when you're dead.
Or
So-
they just realized, hey, this might be kind of pointless.
So that brings up another question. Aliens.
Oh shit.
I was thinking like the end of our world.
They exist.
Well,
They
yeah,
do.
absolutely they exist.
We just
You guys
watched
haven't
Paul.
heard
They
that.
exist.
Josh and I discussed a lot of this last night because we
Hold
watched Paul.
on. You guys haven't heard, have you?
What's up?
The United States government has officially stated that aliens do exist. The whole Roswell stuff actually happened.
Yeah.
When did they state
It's
that?
not big news. They didn't want people to freak out, so they mentioned it. It wasn't a big story.
When?
You actually told me about it. You were
Brandon told us about that. It was a couple months ago. But France and Mexico, who are two of the other big alien things, have been writing on our government to actually tell the people. To basically warn us. And they officially said it. They officially said, yes, there are aliens.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Area 51.
Yeah, 'cause I'm sorry, man. I
Go
mean, it
ahead,
sound like I
look
doubt
it
your
up.
credibility, but we would have heard this shit by now.
Look it up. Like,
No, seriously, I mean, you got your computer right there. Like, why not?
yeah. can't
So, like, you say they confirmed that U.S. government exists. Did they make an official statement about what was at Roswell?
No, they didn't make. They said yes. Most of the rumors you've heard are true. Aliens are alive. We do have stuff like that. But it was basically part of another thing. Like they were talking about something and then they mentioned it. And
So the global recession is doing pretty bad. By the way, Roswell, that kind of happened. Anyway, we're planning on raising the taxes.
oh yeah, and aliens exist and.
Well, I don't know. That's really weird. Because a few years after Roswell happened, they released like the Blue Book or whatever, like the official government detailing of what happened at Roswell, explaining like the whole weather balloon thing and the dummy. But
Could have been fake.
well, yeah, but so could this.
The U.S. government made an official statement saying no sign of aliens, but we're still looking. This was on November 6th of 2011. They confirmed, they basically said, we're not denying, but we're certainly not confirming anything.
Okay. So they've taken away the no, there are no aliens.
The U.S. government has
So-
no evidence that any life exists outside our planet or that an extraterrestrial presence has contacted or engaged any
say-
member of the human race. In addition, there is no credible information to suggest that any evidence is being hidden from the public's eye.
Oh, what? What the bloody hell is Area 51 about?
Really?
So I've learned not to take secondhand information from Brandon.
I still don't believe what they're saying. I still believe
However,
that.
that doesn't mean
There
the
is-
subject of life outside our planet isn't being discussed or explored. In fact, there are a number of projects working toward the goal of understanding life, if life can or does exist off Earth, like this whole water process I've been hearing about, how we can
On
now,
Mars.
create bodies of water. Many have also known, however, that the odds of us making contact with any of them, especially any intelligent ones, are extremely small given the distance.
Why do they think that they're not intelligent?
But that's all statistics.
That's my question.
and
Why do they think
speculation.
they automatically
Fact is,
think
we have
they're
no
not
credible
intelligent?
evidence
Well, why
of
do we assume that they're
extraterrestrial
intelligent,
presence
though?
Here on Earth.
Ben and I discussed this last
Maybe
night.
they've been here for millions of years, and we just like, oh hey, we need an explanation for the creation of the universe. Big Bang Theory.
Because, I mean, chances are when you look at us here on Earth, you know, you have humankind, or the one truly intelligent life form that
Here.
lives on the planet.
On our planet.
You know,
Yes.
and I'm saying, so it's a pretty safe chance to assume that if there is life in a nearby proximity in the universe, that it will be some form of animal or microbiotic life.
Who's to say that it's nearby?
Now-
I mean, it's
now-
vast as the universe.
Yeah, as
is.
vast as the universe is, I firmly believe that there is somewhere with a
Absolutely.
species that is somewhere along the same evolutionary line as we are. I like to think that there's people out there who might even be around the same technological level, because I do believe the universe was created at the same time, and thus, you know, they might not have had a lot of the setbacks, as Josh pointed out last night to me, like the Dark Ages and whatnot, and so they might be a little bit more advanced, but not to the point where we're capable of making
Well, the thing is, they might even be far less advanced, or they might have even
Yeah.
wiped themselves out because they discovered element 92 or whatever it is, uranium.
Either way, I just don't believe that our one little teeny tiny planet is the only thing out there with life.
Exactly.
Well, also,
I cannot believe that. I can't.
yeah, I don't believe it either, and I don't know. It's
What do you guys think about the
interesting.
whole Mars used to have life?
That's questionable.
Yeah, I would agree with Alex on that one.
I mean, it could just be like those.
I think at some point,
water, or where the water used to be, like you could see like paths of water. That could just be like rocks, because rocks move on their own. We've got it
Yeah.
here in the desert. Rocks can move on their own depending on it's like polarity or something like that. But that could very well be exactly what happened.
To simplify, like, my opinion, I do believe that there is life out there in the universe. However, I do not believe that we have made contact yet in any way.
No.
Anything about little green men or space saucers crashing in the desert is hablooey.
See, we're talking about this. We're gonna look outside, and there's gonna be a little green
Right.
man standing out there,
Hey guys, got any weed?
and I'm gonna piss myself.
I don't know.
What would you do if you met an alien? What would your reaction be?
Well, depending on the kind of alien you're meeting.
Yeah.
Cause see, okay, hang on. This is the point I was trying to make earlier. Michio Kaku. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's a theoretical physicist. He made the point that we're looking for aliens in the specific fashion of they're a higher intelligent being, or they're just like us, or they're not as intelligent. It's like one of those three things. But at the same time, you have to consider the fact that consider you're an ant on a highway, and you have these two gigantic lanes of traffic on either side of you. But you're the ant thinking, okay, there are organisms out there who are smarter than me, and I'm looking around and I don't see them. Therefore, they must not be there. But he doesn't see the cars driving by because they're too big for him to comprehend.
There was something like going into the whole Green Lantern thing. Like Green Lantern, they talk about how what if the different ethnicities were different aliens? Like the Germans had aliens that taught them their ways, taught them how to speak German, all that stuff. What if that's really what happened? That's why we have the different languages, different.
So aliens didn't help build the pyramids; they helped build the Tower of Babel.
No, they helped. They helped build us as a society.
Yeah.
What if that was true?
That would be cool.
Would be cool, but I don't believe that.
No, I don't believe it either. I'm just saying, what if?
Yeah.
Everything we've been talking about is a what if.
That's all sci-fi writing is. It's just like
Yeah.
grand what ifs.
Still, that brings brings up the question of why are there different
Here, you take the camera.
ethnicities?
I'm gonna go
Exactly.
take my contacts
Like, why are there different, languages? And
Why are we
different.
different? Why aren't we the same?
Yeah, why isn't everyone on Earth the same?
I mean, it's one of those things that you have to consider where,
Well, because we need somebody to take care of our lawns.
I'm not gonna dignify that with a response.
Hey, you just responded.
No, I commented. But I mean, it's one of those things where you consider like the birth of civilization and everything. We started off in these sort of nomadic tribes,
Yeah.
in all these different areas, and you got one group here and one group here. This group over here agrees that means
Apple.
food, and this group over here agrees that means food.
What do you want to eat tonight? Nah.
It's just a matter of community, What a community agrees upon is the same reason that,
Yeah.
States have different laws.
I am curious as to how we ended up with like different skin tones and facial features that are predominant through the race.
Melatonin.
And whatnot.
I was actually about to say that different levels of melatonin in the skin.
Yeah, it's a skin thing.
Well, it's like how they get different levels of melatonin.
Evolution.
not.
It's an evolution.
Well, yeah, it is. It's an evolution thing. It's where they live. If they have more sunlight, they're going to be darker. If they have less sunlight, they're
Well,
going to be us.
not even that. It's just like
No, that's
it's
basically how the scientists have
what do you call
qualified it.
You know what I hate about
Mutation
popular
theory.
science?
Mutation theory. That's
That exact theory.
Yeah.
I hate the word fucking theory, meaning our best guess.
Yeah, it's this.
Okay, hang on. Here's the thing. That right there, that explanation, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it's an extremely simplified version of it.
What do you mean?
You gotta take
Well,
a college...
yeah.
I took...
I don't want to get into the details.
Right. Well, at Columbus, I took a fossils class, and 90% of that class was evolution and how it works and all this other stuff. Saying just because more sunlight equals more melatonin, therefore different skin color.
Right.
Yeah,
That's I don't know. It's so simplified, and it's simplified to the point of almost being wrong.
Yeah.
Nothing is that simple.
Yeah, exactly.
Period.
And that's why people always get. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, well, if evolution is real, how come there's still monkeys? How come they're not all people?
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Like, hey, you live next to the
you're a
ocean.
bitch.
Why don't you have gills?
And because we have God, yay.